Hey, hello, friends. Laurel Boylan here. Happy Wednesday, and welcome to the Legacy Leaders Live show. As you probably already know, we do this almost weekly, bringing you guests with really amazing and inspirational stories. And they're stories of impact, stories of purpose, stories of prosperity. And we do this because we all need to hear other people's stories for that inspiration. And today's guest really hits home to me. She is my personal business partner and mentor. I call her my LinkedIn angel. And I started this show 4 months ago, and I purposely waited to bring her on because I wanted to really get better at asking questions of guests and so forth, because she's got so much inside of her that I want to pull out within the next 20 minutes. So my guest today is Myrna Atha, and she's been with her current company 30 years and is extremely successful. She is the queen of living her legacy now rather than just building it to leave behind when she's gone. So I'm going to bring Myrna on, and I'm going to let her tell you a little bit more about her business, and then we're going to go into the legacy part. Myrna, welcome.
Awesome. I'm so excited to be here, Laurel.
Thank you.
And we get to work together every day, and what a delight and what a pleasure that is. And I just want to start off by thanking you for saying yes. Thank you for being open. Thank you for saying yes. Thank you for putting your trust in me and Mark, my husband, of course. And so what do I do? You know what? I have worked with the wellness company for 30 and a half years now. But I want to preface that by saying I didn't just jump into something blindly. I went looking, and I put together my wish list, if you will. You can go to my website, myrnaatha.com, and see my side hustle checklist. But I've become a side hustle expert. There's so many things out there, Laurel, as you know. And we've found that over the years that so many people jump into side hustles and or things that they could do to pivot their careers possibly without really doing their homework. So really what I love to do, especially on the LinkedIn platform, is to kind of help guide people, if you will, whether or not they join my team. That's honestly besides the point. Would I like people to? Of course I would. But I really want to help them do a deeper dive, to really do their homework before they decide to go anywhere, to really look for that perfect thing for them. There's so many people with amazing skill sets on the LinkedIn platform. And so it's like, how would that skill set that you have being a social media expert transfer to working with me and my team? So that's what I do.
Well, take us back 30 years, because I happen to know for a fact that 30 years ago, things weren't quite as they are today. And you definitely took the traditional career path for sure, and were working your way up into a regional position. And tell us a little bit about what you were doing then.
Sure.
And why you even were thinking side hustle when you had a really good job.
Yeah. Well, you know what? And that's such a great question, because I think most people would have looked at me and went, you're a regional sales manager with Lady Foot Locker. You have a company car, you have an expense account, all those things that look really great from the outside. But truth was, you know what? Life happened. And I really like to talk to people about, it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when, right? And I think that many of us, especially since COVID, have gone through some life happening things. But 30 years ago, that's what was going on. I had lost my father at a very young age, 54. And certainly my parents didn't expect that to happen. He got cancer and passed away fairly quickly. So there was my mom left at 54 years of age with no husband, right? That really set me on my heels, thinking, oh my gosh, like, my mom and dad were just getting to a time in life that maybe things were going to be a little bit better. Maybe they wouldn't have to work quite as hard. And they weren't entrepreneurs. They had jobs. And then we lost dad. And at the same time, we were going through a recession in Canada where Mark and I lived at the time. And Mark was a real estate agent, not selling any houses. Again, people were not in the malls shopping for, new outfits and tennis shoes. So I thought, what the heck? Like, what are we going to do? And we started a publishing company doing limited edition artwork. We had invested just shy of $100,000 into that business. Some of it was our cash, some of it was borrowed from friends and family. And again, who's buying artwork during a recession? Okay, like nobody. We were naive. We were 28. We didn't know what we didn't know. And so we found ourselves in a situation where we really needed to find something to alleviate the stress that we found ourselves under, that financial stress. It felt terrible, absolutely terrible. And so we went looking. And in this day and age, a lot of people would jump onto LinkedIn and things like that to look for what we have. But back then, it was a newspaper ad that we ran. It just said, I'm an aggressive entrepreneur looking for business ideas. We thought, let's just see what's out there. Okay, hold it. I got to stop because we didn't think any of that. Mark thought that. Okay, I was like, I don't know. Like, I didn't have anybody that was entrepreneurial in my world. So my brain didn't think that way. My brain thought, I'm going to be a really great employee. I'm going to work for someone my whole life. I'm going to be the star. I'm going to be the number one person, which I was. Okay. And that's what I'm going to do. You know, I love the accolades. And I got paid okay, I suppose. Right. So it was really Mark's idea to run that ad. We received over 300 responses and he got to work. There was about 30, real businesses, and as well as people that had created different things and were looking for help to market or take their product or service to the marketplace, if you will. And throughout all that, we didn't find anything. Isn't that crazy? Just nothing really ticked all the boxes. And that's kind of the key thing, because we put together what I like to call the wish list. And actually, we called it the success factors. And we had a dozen things on the list. And we were looking at all these different ideas and going, does it have this? Does it have this? Does it have that? And if anything was missing, it went to the pile over here. And again, that was 30 and a half years ago. So thank goodness we did our homework. Thank goodness we didn't just jump into something. And that's what I love to do. Again, as I mentioned on the platform, is to really help people take a look at their options and just be a sounding board, if nothing else. So I always like to say to people, don't be afraid to contact me. Go to my LinkedIn page, book in half an hour with me, and let's just have conversation. And Laura, wouldn't you agree that I feel like we've lost the art of conversation? Like, I'm so glad we're doing this right now, right? Everyone hides behind these things, right? They hide behind their devices. And or they create a course. I was actually just on a podcast this morning with this great gal. Her name is Star. We met on LinkedIn as well. And we talked about that, how people think they're going to create a course or whatever they're going to do, put it out there, charge people X amount of dollars to get their course or be coached by them, and all is going to be well in the world. Well, that's just not the case, right? It's not the case. So that's why.
Would you say that there are a lot more side hustle opportunities and ways to make extra income today than there were 30 years ago?
No, I think there was a lot then and there's a lot now. Every time you turn around, there's something that you might do. The question is, again, back to that list that I like to have, right, is we were looking for something. Well, a couple things I'll share with you. Number one, we wanted it to be portable, hence why we were in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, which I love, but it's cold, okay? And now we live in beautiful Scottsdale, Arizona, right? So we were looking for something that was portable. We were looking for something that was recession-proof. Okay, more to my point, that no matter what was going on in the world, and of course the world's a crazy place nowadays, that we could still make a good living at it. So we were looking for something that was going to be long-term. I mean, and of course you don't have a crystal ball, but again, based on all the things we were looking at, we wanted to find something that would withstand the test of time. No matter what was going on in the economy, no matter what was going on politically in the world or financially in the world, that we could still pay our bills and be okay and alleviate that financial stress that we had found ourselves, underneath at that time. And so it had to be recession proof. It had to be something that no matter what, people need.
And I do hear you saying that when you guys first made a pivot and decided to give this side hustle a try, you did it expecting big results, and you did it more initially to relieve your own stress, pay the bills, to get a nest egg built up so you didn't end up like your mom and dad did without. So you did that all for what I would call normal reasons, right? That's why we go to work, is to pay our bills and feed our family. But at some point in our life, for many of us, something inside of us switches.
Yeah.
And I know that a lot of times that switch doesn't always occur until you are financially safe. You feel like you've found your groove, everything's in alignment. Excuse me. But for you, when did that switch occur from we're doing this to build up our own empire to something so much more meaningful and deeper?
Yeah, I love that. Great question. So you just mentioned the word try. That we try it. We didn't ever think we were going to try it. We knew we were going to do it.
Oh,
So I think that number one is mindset. So because we had done so much homework, and there was so much social proof as well, Laurel. So some of you might wonder, what does social proof exactly mean? What that means is we met people just like us, regular folks that made it happen and that were making a great income, part-time and or full-time. So it wasn't a question of whether or not it would work. It was a question of whether or not we felt it was the right thing for us to work at, which we absolutely did. So we never came into building our business thinking, well, we'll give this a try for 6 months. Like, that was not the mindset. And so for all of you that are listening in, regardless again of what you're doing, are you trying it, or are you focused and doing the right activity? And have you chosen the right vehicle to get you where you want to go? We knew that because there's just way too much social proof. Way too many people we met. And in our first a couple months, we met a lot. We met as many people as we could. We went to events. We talked with people on the phone. We got around the community to see if we felt like that was going to be the right fit. And we absolutely 100% did. Okay. So when we saw folks winning, but more to your next question now, is it wasn't just them. It wasn't like some guy in Texas that was like doing great things. It was all these people of all these different walks of life. And it was the relationships they were building and bringing people with them. So you bet. Our first goal was to alleviate some of that financial stress we found ourselves underneath. In fact, we joke because we always say our first goal was to get just back to broke, because being below broke really was terrible. Okay, so being broke sounded appealing to us at the time. All right. And we joke about that, but there's some truth to that. My car was parked 3 blocks away. The bank was looking for it. Like, we were in a terrible financial situation, paying minimum balances on credit cards and everything else that we could, so that we would not declare personal bankruptcy. That was the goal. But then what happened was we had a lot of people join us just because they wanted to be our customers. But then we had other folks just like ourselves raising their hand and saying, what about me? I mean, we would love to earn an extra $500 or $1,000 a month, because again, we were going through a recession. We had inflation, just like the times that we're dealing with right now. So they saw us having a good time and alleviating that stress and making a little bit of money. And they were like, well, show us how you're doing that. So that switch happened. I'm going to say, I'm thinking back again, it's a long time ago, but I'm going to say within 6 to 8 months. By that time we were earning, a few $1,000s a month, and it was really important money. That's when it really was, okay, well, who wants to come with us? And so it happened pretty quickly, for sure.
Now, I really have always enjoyed the word legacy and really studying, what does that mean? Is it something that's written on a tombstone? Is it money that you leave behind and resources for your family? Is it creating a family to go off and do their own thing? Or is it, the impact that we make on people as we go? Legacy is really different to each and every person, but I happen to know from having talks with you that you really believe in figuring out what that legacy is and living the legacy life rather than work. So what does a legacy life look like for Myrna Atha?
Doing what I want to do, when I want to do it, who I want to do it with. That's that's true. I mean, honestly, in a nutshell, because you know what? Gosh, here we are, the middle of April already, right? Oh my gosh, yesterday was tax day. Okay, so here we are. I think a lot of people are going, "Holy cow, it's April," and today is going to come and go, and tomorrow is going to come and go, and the next day is going to come and go. So it's like being able to do what you want when you want to do it. So, for example, we just had great friends of ours in town for the last 2 weeks. They left this morning. They're from Canada. I call them my BM friends before Marks because that's how long we've known them. Marilyn actually was the first ever district sales manager for Lady Foot Locker in Canada, and she trained me. So we're talking like 35 years ago. Okay. And yesterday, there was a bunch of things I could have been doing work-wise. There always is, right? Especially when you're an entrepreneur. But I did a little bit of work in the morning for about an hour or so. And then we went and played pickleball for 2.5 hours. And then we went to a dinner at a great new restaurant we wanted to check out. And then we went to the Jersey Boys play. And I didn't feel guilty and I wasn't stressed out because I don't need to be. I don't have to be. I get to spend that time with the people I care about most and create those memories. And while we're at dinner, Mark and I are going to be 60 next year, and we are planning a 60th birthday celebration, if you will. And when we turned 50, we did ours together as well. We actually had, let's see here. Oh gosh, I got to count real quick. We had 8 couples, including ourselves. We took them away on a 4-day vacation. We paid for all of it. They just got themselves there. We paid for everything ourselves, and we had a great 4 days with our friends. So we're going to do something similar for our 60th. And it's going to be a little bit bigger thing that we do, if you will. We're going to do something locally, but we're also going to go on a great trip. We're just deciding the details of that right now. We've got actually some of it already on hold, and we got to invite those friends from Calgary to come with us. And they're not in our business. They're just great friends. They're retired now. They retired in their mid-50s. And they are so excited. And they said, yeah, we're coming. We're going. So that's the living the legacy part, Laurel. And, we bought a lake house 3 years ago because we want to share. We want to experience life with people, and that is like so fun to be able to do that, right? I lost my sister 2.5 years ago. She was my only sibling. So my mom's gone, my dad's gone. Mark's mom and dad, we lost both of them in the last 3 years. My sister passed away unexpectedly. And so I'm like the matriarch of the family. How scary is that? So we bought this lake house because it's not too far from Canada. Well, it's about an hour and a half from the Canadian border, but our family and friends from British Columbia and Alberta can actually drive there. And we just want to share it with people. So I love that. That's what fires me up to actually work, right? So that I can bring more people with me on the journey and give them more options. I love the word peaceful. Life wasn't always peaceful for us. And when your bills are paid every month, never mind creating wealth, when your bills are paid, like the limits, like whatever your balance is on your credit cards every month, and your mortgage is paid, or you become mortgage free, which is pretty amazing, let me tell you. And you don't have to worry about car payments and just everyday stuff, or going to the grocery store right now. Oh my gosh. I don't know about you, but I went to the grocery store a couple of days ago, and every time I go, I swear, I think, how come the bill is so high? But thank goodness I can pay it. Credit card debt isn't on an all-time high because people are literally buying their groceries on their credit cards. So, I want to help as many people as I can come along on the journey of living a legacy. And you know what? Maybe some people want to leave one. I don't. I'm going to spend every cent I possibly can on my friends and family and myself, and have a good time while we're here.
What do you say, Myrna, to the person who's watching this right now, and they love your story, but they're feeling like, yeah, right, well, that worked for you, but you don't have, 3 children and 2 jobs and, a commute and this and that. they're feeling overwhelmed. They don't even know where to start on a side hustle. What would you say to that person?
Call me. Let's have a conversation. I mean, I'm not pretending I have all the answers because I certainly don't. But sometimes when you talk with someone who's gone through it, because we all have stuff. I had stuff, right?
Mhm.
I just found something to do to get rid of the stuff. So it was easier, right?
Mhm.
But everybody has stuff. So it's a matter of taking a look. And the example you gave, somebody that's overwhelmed, 3 kids, maybe little ones, that are still at home, or one's in school and 2 are running around in the background, yelling and screaming. Um, then we've got to, again, find something you can do that can fit into those little cracks of life, whether it's 5 minutes here or 10 minutes there, that can actually work for you. Because you're right, most people are so time challenged, aren't they, Laurel? I mean, let's look at you and John, five kids. I mean, that's a lot. And it doesn't necessarily get easier when they get in their 20s either, does it?
No, and there was a period that we were that sandwich generation. We were caring for my dad and my mom within the same time, and then his mom, and now in a very short period of time, everybody's gone. But yeah, that was a lot. It really was a lot.
Yeah, so it's just a matter of, and I would say when I say call me, I mean call me or call Laurel. I mean, just have a conversation with us and let us show you what we do and how we do it. And then you can decide whether or not we're a fit for you being able to create a side hustle and an additional income.
Well, one of the things I like to share with people who are concerned about the time it takes to learn a new side hustle and the time it takes to sell or reach out or do approach or whatever it is that you're doing, people are worried about the time that it takes. And I always tell them how I made my choice. I was the queen of being worried about time. I was so pulled in every direction. The last thing I could handle was one more thing that was going to require me to be hours on Zoom at a time, to require me to study, learn, practice, memorize. I was just like, no, I can't do that. And then when you and I talked and I realized that this was something that didn't require everything from my MLM experience, wonderful, wonderful products. But I spent hours a week on Zooms learning the science behind it, the studies behind it, what it does for your body, how you can explain it to people. And this is none of that because that wore me down. And this is not. So I think it goes to your point of asking yourself the questions, having your list of what is so important to you, and then comparing different options till you find one that's in alignment with your list, because no two of us have the same list. I have a lot more time on my plate right now than a lot of my friends. So my list might look a little different than theirs looks. So I think just really making the list. And I happen to know, I hope I'm not overstepping my bounds, but I know you have a document that you share with people. I believe it's even on your website.
Yeah.
Would you mind dropping that when we're done here in the comments so that if people want that checklist to know how to compare what they're doing, what they may want, and how to move forward, that they have that guidance there?
Yeah, I would love to do that. And tomorrow, for any of you that are listening in, Laurel and I and my husband Mark are doing what we call our blueprint for sustainable success. And we really do have a blueprint. So, Laurel, I was so excited. I got a phone call just before you and I jumped on today from Dr. Stephanie. And she is one of our new business partners that joined us just 2 months ago. And she was so sweet. She actually went to a larger event last night in Nashville, and she brought her husband. He doesn't really know what we've been up to, right? So she said it was just so validating to go into that room and see other people and hear people's stories and people that are winning together. And then she said this morning, so not even 24 hours later, our corporate headquarters called her and thanked her for attending. She couldn't even believe it. And she just reached out to me just to say thank you. And, it brought tears to my eyes because we get to do this for people. We get to do it with people. And she knows that she has a future now. She knows that she has a home. She works a lot and she wants to have more time with her family, like most of us. So I will be happy to drop that link. And again, just reach out to us, have a conversation. I mean, we're not going to try to strong arm you into anything. Okay. It's just about having conversation and seeing if we might be a fit for one another.
Dr. Stephanie's situation is exactly what prompted me to want to develop a duplicatable system to build for those people who enjoy building businesses on LinkedIn, because it's such a different feel, a different vibe than people who are, selling things, knocking on doors, calling all their friends and family, and, that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm so happy to be teamed up with you. And I'm just so grateful for this platform of LinkedIn and all the knowledge and training we've had, and that we're able to pass on to our team in the form of these duplicatable systems. So
huge. Awesome. Thank you, Laurel.
Thank you. And I guess we'll be doing a very different version of this tomorrow. Same time, but it's not live on LinkedIn. You have to register for the link. We give all the goods away there, right?
That's right. We'll drop that link into the chat as well for everyone.
All right. Well, Myrna, thank you so much. And all my friends, I hope you have a great rest of the week. I'm glad we made it past tax day. And until we talk again, thank you.
Bye for now.
Mm-hmm.